Okay, so we are getting quite a few questions, and we are answering them. I will go back and at the end of the presentation, and we'll go over the individual tax questions. If you think of any business questions or more individual tax questions, please feel free to put them out there. We will answer them. I will go over some of the business income tax questions that we have right now that we do have answers, but we will keep continuing to answer the questions as the presentations go on. The first question for everybody is, the PTE election is irrevocable for current years or all years, futures. It is irrevocable for all years. To clarify, each year is independent of every other year, but is irrevocable for any given year once the election has been made for that year. How does PTE work? If you have a taxable loss, most of the expenses are driven by 2% deductions, but have non-resident members, which does not include 2% deductions. Can someone explain this? This one's going to be a little more time-consuming, so we will address this. Either we'll reach out to you, or at the end of the presentation we can speak about this again. Let's see, keep going here. What is the deadline for paying PTE? PTE tax is due by the original due date of the Illinois business income tax return that you're filing, depending on the tax year ending. The next question, we are just starting to do business in Illinois. They're from Texas. Is there a number that I can call to help me get started with everything that we will need to get started? Yes. We have our customer service line here at the Illinois Department of Revenue, so any tax questions that you have, feel free to reach them. That number, if everybody's ready, is 1-800-732-8866. You can ask any question. If they can't help you out, they can definitely get you to the right department. So we do have a couple withholding questions. The first one for withholding is, our outsourced payroll provider did not file our Illinois withholding tax correctly. Can I file amendments online? Yes. You may file an amended return electronically at mytax.illinois.gov. Again, that's mytax.illinois.gov, or via your preferred filing application. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through, make sure I didn't miss anything here. Okay, we do have a couple of sales tax questions, and we do have some answers. So the first one is, sales tax quarter monthly payment queue. We are a quarter monthly accelerated payment schedule. However, the payment schedule was based on past activity. Now we have a large credit. Is it best to use down the credit? The answer to that is, you can email rev.credittransfers@illinois.gov to apply credit to your future quarter monthly payment. Make sure to request the credits be applied by quarter monthly payment due dates. Again, that email is rev.credit, C-R-E-D-I-T, transfers, T-R-A-N-S-F-E-R-S, @illinois.gov. Let's see here. How do we remit? Let's see, that one jumped. I am new to my position. Why does my online access show no periods listed to selected file for ROT reseller tax? Has there been a change to frequency, or is the online not up to date? Maybe I did not click far enough in. There is no filing requirements for a taxpayer just registered as a reseller. Then the next question, how do I remit tax due to Illinois for use tax? You can file the ST44 use tax return. Now that the ST44 is no longer available on MyTax, therefore you would have to file it and send it in via paper. Uh, Someone asked, is there a sales tax, is there classes available for sales tax only? Not at the present time. Is there a different form for filing amended ST1? Yes, the form ST1-X. And if you have multiple sites, you need to make sure you include the ST2-X, amended multiple site schedule. I know there's been a question asked a couple times. The one on, is there like a direct phone line for tax practitioners? Yes, we do. I do believe they still call it the Illinois Business Income Tax line. But let me get you that phone number for everybody here. Is, sorry, 217-524-4772. Again, is there a priority line for tax practitioners? Yes, it is 217-524-4772. Okay, so we have quite a few questions to go back over. Please, as we go through, if you come up with more questions, please feel free to send them in. We will start back going over some of the questions for the individual income tax. Let's see here. Sorry, I got to get back to the top here. Okay, first one. Is it not possible to attach PDFs to the Illinois return? As long as your tax software supports binary attachments, PDFs are allowed. If the information is provided for a schedule, that schedule must be completed. If a first-time filer has not been noted, what happens? If the taxpayer is not a first-time filer in our system, they will still be eligible for direct deposit. Is there a foreign tax credit on the Illinois 1040 or a schedule? There is a credit for taxes paid to other states, but not to a foreign country. All of what Brett discussed requires you to be registered to mytax.illinois, correct. It depends on the type of notice you receive. From the home page of the Revenue website, check under Received a Notice for details. The next question is, if you have a federal IP, does Illinois have a separate IP? If you're referring to an identity protection PIN, we do not. Okay, another individual tax question is, what if an individual taxpayer did not receive their rebate check from last year? They can contact our Taxpayer Assistant Division by phone or by email, and they will help you step through the process or try to determine why the rebate check was not received. Okay, now we'll go on to, we have some pass-through entity questions that were asked that we didn't get answered, but I will address. For some of those, again, Rob has put in his email address, and if you would like further clarification, you can reach out Rob directly, and he will email you. Oh, I apologize. Here's one more individual. ID verification of a taxpayer in a nursing home with no driver's license or no other ID verification items available, no bills, insurance, etc. What will meet Illinois requirements to verify ID? If you are a third-party designee, you may respond to the notice with a copy of your driver's license state ID. If you are not a third-party designee, please send an explanation for why the taxpayer cannot respond to our notice and your relationship to the taxpayer, along with a copy of your photo ID. Is it clear that a business elected PTE, then for 2022 they needed to pay in both their estimated and PTE? Yes, they will need to pay estimated replacement tax payments and PTE tax as the estimated payments. Will IDOR, Illinois Department of Revenue, ever have a secure way to send in the IL 2848? Email is not secure in some cases. Yes, you can submit this through MyTax Illinois, upload it as a single PDF file, use the IDOR Power of Attorney submission link in the additional service panels on the lower portion of the MyTax Illinois homepage. This is a general question for, I do believe, all tax types. How does the Illinois Department of Revenue determine reasonable cause? If you would like to go to section 700.400, reasonable cause, the UPI section of 3-8, this can help you determine reasonable cause. Why does Illinois Department of Revenue send out notices stating that there is an error in a return but fail to explain what the error is? While we do try to explain problems with returns and schedules, the large volume of returns we process necessitates some automation of letters, and sometimes the finer details of specific issues can be lost in the process. For ongoing issues, we do send handwritten letters that offer more specific explanations, and you may always contact us for clarification of the information listed in our letters. And again, you can always call our Taxpayer Assistance Division. Our outsourced payroll provider did not file our Illinois withholding tax correctly. Can I file amendments online? Oh, I'm sorry, I already answered this. Yes, you can file amended returns electronically at mytax.illinois.gov. I apologize. If there is a sale of inherited property taxes, takes place in a foreign country, are the capital gains taxable in Illinois? This is for an Illinois resident. Yes, if the income is included in their federal adjusted gross income, it will be taxed as an Illinois resident. There has been some confusion over accepted by the IRS of the federal 1040X. That is not e-file acceptance. It's when the IRS accepts the changes, correct? That is correct. It is when the IRS accepts the changes, not the return itself. If both returns are filed at the same time, we may request a copy of the federal acceptance letter before allowing the changes on your Illinois 1040X, depending on the nature of the federal change. There was an additional answer to how do I remit tax due for use tax. In addition to the SD-44, if you're reporting use tax as an individual, use tax liability up to $600 may be reported on the Illinois 1040, Step 7, Line 21. Withholding question, when posting an IL-501 at MyTax, it is possible to post the incorrect quarter. What action should we take when this is done to have the IL-501 posted to the correct quarter? We'll be happy to move the payment to the correct quarter if you send us a written request with specific instructions, including the periods that the payment should be moved to, from, and to. Is there a list someplace of what items and services are taxed? Yes. Please go to tax.illinois.gov and search for the form PIO-101. This is a matrix that gets fairly detailed on how specific items are taxed depending on use and type of business, etc. For the Illinois 1040, if no foreign tax credit, is there foreign tax deduction on the schedule? There is not, though if income has already been excluded from the taxpayer's adjusted gross income federally, it will not be taxed on the Illinois tax return. If you need detailed answers on your specific scenario, you may want to contact our Taxpayer Assistance Division. For withholding, is there an adjustment to a prior quarter that results in a credit? How should this report it? The IL-941 is used to report withholding for current quarter, and credits from a prior filing period are not reported on the IL-941. If you believe a prior period is overpaid, then you must file an IL-941X with the Schedule P-X for us to verify the overpayment. Once the credit is verified, we will issue a refund to you. We will not transfer withholding credits to another filing period. For Illinois pass-through tax, when a lower tier pass-through entity and a middle tier pass-through entity both make pass-through entity payments, does the middle tier pass-through entity still just receive and distribute the pass-through entity tax credits flowing to it from a lower tier pass-through entity, or does it just calculate its own PTE tax as that will include its share of lower tier entity income and claim the PTE credit that flows through to it from the lower tier entity? If you use the pass-through entity income tax worksheet in the instructions, the middle tier will pull out the income received from the lower tier and calculate the PTE tax requirement net of the income received from the lower tier. This way you don't double pay pass-through entity tax on the income earned by the lower tier. The lower tier, of course, would just pass through the credit received from a lower tier. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anybody here. Related to the withholding question posted earlier to the incorrect quarter, to what address should the written request be sent? You can send requests to Illinois Department of Revenue, Attention Withholding Section, P.O. Box 19004, Springfield, Illinois, 62794-9004. For the eFile Illinois 1040X, how do you make sure the federal 1040X was accepted? You will include the federal finalization date with the electronic Illinois 1040X. Additionally, the proof of federal finalization can be included as a binary attachment, PDF. Question on secure choice. Are religious organizations, churches exempt from secure choice program? Not to my knowledge. If you have more than 5 employees, have been in business for at least 2 years and do not offer a qualified retirement savings program, you will not be exempt. Next question is 5 employees in a state of Illinois or over 5 employees in all states? 5 employees in Illinois. Illinois Department of Revenue and the Secure Choice Program use employees reported on your Schedule P to calculate. If they are included on the Schedule P, then you'll be counted towards your annual average. Do we need a power of attorney to respond on behalf of a taxpayer? Either power of attorney, or if you're listed as a third-party designee on the return, you'll be able to respond. Is there a class or guide for calculating telephone excise tax? Please refer to the RT2 return instructions on our website at tax.illinois.gov. If there's a specific scenario you would like to discuss, please contact our period-based return unit at 217-782-5906. Again, for period-based return unit on questions, 217-782-5906. We currently do not offer a class or comprehensive guide to telecommunication tax calculations. Individual income tax. Why do individuals who pay their real estate taxes through their mortgage have to send a copy of their real estate tax bill to the state before their refund is processed? We do not treat returns claiming a property tax credit differently based on how the tax was paid, either through an escrow or directly paying to your county. We will request additional documentation to verify a property tax credit only when we are unable to verify the amount of tax reported as paid for the property tax index number provided on the Schedule ICR. A withholding question. My understanding is that a negative cannot appear on the employee listing that is submitted with the IL-941. Is that not true? A negative amount can appear on the listing. If I'm understanding you correctly, I'm sorry, I'm responding with an answer, not me personally. You will probably need to file an IL-941X with a Schedule PX for each quarter. 1 quarter with reducing the withholding to 0, and the correct quarter to increase withholding to the incorrect amount. If I am not understanding correctly, please feel free to reach out to me with specific questions. robert.farthing@illinois.gov. John, yeah, I hear someone's hearing bells ringing. Others are not. I think that might be people leaving the webinar, not additional questions, but I don't know that 100%. Is there a property tax credit available to non-residents owning land and paying Illinois income tax, or just Illinois residents? Non-residents of Illinois are not able to take the credit. The property tax credit is for tax paid on your primary residence. For further questions and answers, see the schedule ICR instructions or publication 108 for details. I'm trying to see and make sure that I didn't miss anything or miss anybody. If one of your questions, we will reach out directly to you via email to try to get your answers or answers to your questions. That being said, I do believe that's it. Whitney, if you want to go to the next. And again, if you do have further questions, you can still remember reach out to our Taxpayer Assistance Division, or you can reach out directly to any one of our presenters that their email address was on the presentation. I do want to take this time to thank you very much for participating in the Illinois Department of Revenue's Tax Education webinar.